Wife planned an anniversary party to humiliate me and announced she's leaving me for her boss. Her parents' reaction changed everything. Hi, so I, 25 male, have been married to my wife, Veronica, 25 female, for 3 years now, and we have been together for 6 years. But right now, we are headed towards a divorce and she's blaming me for it, which I really don't think is fair. For context, the reason we are getting divorced is that not only did she have an affair with her boss, but she also decided that it would be a great idea to try and humiliate me at our anniversary party in front of all our friends and family by bragging about her affair. Unfortunately, things did not go according to plan, and now, she's bargaining with me and wants me to make everything right again. We had been having a lot of trouble in our marriage for the past year or so, and it was mostly because of her family. This was nothing new. I was used to fighting with her because of her family, but this was new in the sense that they were pressuring us to have a baby, and even Veronica had to go along with it, but I was just not ready. I don't think we are there yet, financially, and I really don't want to rely on her family for money, even though she is completely fine with it. They already look down upon me, and it's been that way ever since I started dating her, since it was pretty clear that I would never be able to live up to their standards. Vanessa's parents are both doctors and are stinking rich. On top of that, her 2 older brothers are also doing quite well in their lives, so she's obviously really spoiled, and right from when we were in college, I knew that I would not be able to afford the same kind of lifestyle that she was used to anytime soon. It's not coming from a place of inferiority, but rather a place of honesty and practicality. I was raised by a single mother and she did her best to educate me, so I'm obviously very serious about my work and I want to move ahead career-wise before I start thinking about kids and stuff. In my personal opinion, I don't think I've reached that level yet, and I'm just 25, so it's not like I'm running out of time. Besides, if Veronica and I started trying for a baby right now, it would be really difficult for us to afford to maintain our lifestyle since both of us are in the initial stages of our careers right now. And I think that it's a pretty easy thing to understand, but for some reason, she had completely refused to even try and understand where I was coming from. She just believed that since her parents thought that it was the right time for her to have a baby because we had been married for almost 3 years, it simply had to be done, and she did not care about the consequences after that. So we had been fighting about this a lot because I was not ready to have a baby and she was not ready to give up on the idea of having a baby right now, so she just kept pushing me and we kept on arguing for months. Her family did not do anything to improve the situation either. They just added fuel to the fire, and they constantly offered to take care of the finances after we had the baby, so we don't have to worry about that. To Veronica, it seemed like her parents were trying to help her out by taking over this one thing, but to me, it just seemed really disrespectful because of how I have been treated by them in the past. For context, right from the very beginning, my in-laws have always made it very clear to me that they do not think I'm good enough for Veronica since I don't have as much money as they do. It's never been a huge secret since they have been openly snobbish around me and have never treated me as part of the family. I don't even think that they have accepted me as part of the family even now, even though they have been pressuring their daughter to have a kid with me. But I personally think that's just because they're bored and they just want grandkids to play with. Anyway, in any case, I was not ready to accept financial help from Veronica's parents because that would be humiliating for me. And of course, she thought that I was being too egoistic and narcissistic, and that became something that we fought over quite frequently because she thought that I did not like her family, even though I had good reason not to. So this is how the past couple of months have been, and it's been really bad, like you guys can already tell. The only reason I hadn't been considering divorce so far was because after every fight, she would eventually try and make it up to me and we would fall back into the same pattern. And even though I knew that it was kind of unhealthy and toxic, I still loved her, so I did not think I wanted to go so easily, but after what has happened, I think I have too. Because in the past couple of weeks, since our 3rd marriage anniversary was coming up, she started being extra nice to me and told me that she was planning a party for the 2 of us. In the past month, we hadn't had a single fight, and I actually started to think that maybe we were patching up and that she had probably started to understand my point of view as well. So I had been quite excited about the party that she had been planning since I had no idea what was about to come. Anyway, the party took place about 4 days ago, and right now, everything is just a total hot mess. At the party, all our friends and family had been present, and Veronica and I had been getting along quite well. But all of a sudden, everything changed as soon as her boss showed up, and it literally felt like she had gone from being my wife to his. Because as soon as he entered, she left my side and started getting all touchy and stuff with him, and he was actually reciprocating that behavior. It was really weird to watch, and I was so shocked that I couldn't even say anything. And then, a couple of minutes after her boss had shown up, she decided to make a speech, and I thought it was going to be for me, and technically, it was, but not in the way that I expected. She started off by talking about how she had been married to me for the past 3 years, but she had known me for almost 6 years now, and we had some pretty good times together. And then, she started talking about how she wanted to have a baby, but I did not seem ready for it, and no matter how much she tried to talk me into it, it just didn't work. At that point, I started thinking that maybe something was going on because this was really personal and I did not think that was necessary to be shared with a room full of people. I tried to tell her to stop, but she just went on speaking about how much we have been fighting in the past couple of months and airing all our dirty linen, making me really uncomfortable because the way she put it, it made me sound like the bad guy. Obviously, I was getting a lot of weird looks from everyone while she was sharing whatever had been going on with us, but then, it got worse. Eventually, she started talking about how she had been really tired of fighting with me and it had started taking a toll on her, so she ended up breaking down one day at work, and that was when her boss, Nathan, 39 meters, decided to have a chat with her, but instead of scolding her about her behavior, he was there for her as a friend, and that was when they started bonding. This had happened about a month ago, but within a week, they had started spending all their time with each other at work, and even after work, all they would do was talk to each other. And soon enough, she started to feel like she had made a mistake by marrying me because Nathan seemed to be the perfect guy for her in every aspect. And then, she announced that she had wasted enough of her time with me, but now, she needed somebody who actually understood her, and told me that I had hurt her a lot over these past couple of months. So now, on our 3rd anniversary, she was setting me free because she was going to leave and move in with Nathan now. And when she said that, I literally just froze. Even now, when I think about it, I just keep going blank because I really don't know what to say. Obviously, it's not like I don't have anything to say. I was hurt and I was angry and I felt totally humiliated, but I just didn't know how to put it into words because I was shocked, more than anything else. But since I didn't have anything to say, nobody else dared to say anything for a while either, until finally, my in-laws spoke up. It was quite unexpected because so far, my in-laws had only been responsible for spoiling Veronica rotten. But all of a sudden, after she made that announcement, my father-in-law spoke up and said that it was disgusting that she had done something like this, and he no longer wanted anything to do with her anymore. Her dad sounded really angry, and right after he said whatever he had to say, he walked out, followed by her mother, and even her mom didn't look back. Her brothers were also there, and Veronica was pretty shocked by the reaction of her parents, so she tried to look to them for help, but they just told her that whatever she had done, it was horrible and they couldn't stand for it either. Then, they left too, and slowly, all the guests started leaving because I don't think anybody had anything to say after that, since everything had just become really awkward. Eventually, I was able to come to my senses as well, and as soon as that happened, I told Veronica that I wanted her to get out of the house with all her things as quickly as possible because I didn't even want to look at her. She did not argue with me then, she just went to her room and started packing her things along with Nathan, and within an hour, the two of them were gone. The only two people who had stayed back were my mother and my younger brother. My older brother couldn't understand because he lives out of state. And after Veronica and Nathan had left, they were the ones who let me cry on their shoulders for hours and consoled me because I had completely broken down. My brother left the next day, but my mother is still here with me, and even my older brother has been in touch with me, so that's been a little helpful, at least since I'm not alone. They have already put me in touch with an attorney, and in a few days, I'm going to file for a divorce, but right now, I don't know what to do. Right after the incident had taken place, I was pretty sure that I wanted to get a divorce and just be done with all of this because I never wanted to see Veronica again. But then, 2 days ago, she reached out to me and started begging me to forgive her. She told me that she had made a huge mistake, but she just wanted to get back at me for how I had been treating her, and she had just been really hurt by everything. She sent me proof of her quitting her job, saying that she had cut all ties with Nathan and that she was staying with a friend now because she had realized that she had only been doing all of this to get my attention and make me jealous, but she had obviously gone about it the wrong way. She also reassured me that things with Nathan had been strictly emotional, but I can't really trust her on that, especially not after everything that has happened so far. Right now, she has been telling me that she wants us to get marriage counseling and give our relationship another chance because we have been together for a really long time and we have gone through a lot of tough times, but we have always come out of it stronger. So she believes that we owe it to each other to give ourselves another chance. And she's also been telling me that in the past couple of months, she had been feeling really misunderstood by me, and she was getting sick of the constant fights, which is why she had done something so crazy and extreme, and she really regretted it, but she knew that we could make it work if we wanted to. It's been a lot for me to process so far, and I've been feeling very confused about my emotions, especially since she has brought up a lot of things that she thinks I did wrong in the past few months, and I don't know how to deal with that. Apparently, she thinks that I had been emotionally distant from her, and my strained relationship with my in-laws had also been a huge part of the reason why we have been fighting so much, since she thinks that, even though she had made a lot of effort to get along with my family, I had never done the same. Although, I don't think that's the same thing because my family never looked down on her. Anyway, apart from that, I would definitely agree that I had indeed been quite distant from her in the recent past, but that was only because we had been fighting so much and I figured that if we didn't even interact, we couldn't fight. But I would still say that none of that would be enough to explain something like what she did, and my friends and family feel the same way. As a matter of fact, my mother has even suggested that maybe she's trying to fix things with me because her family clearly did not approve of her decision to try and humiliate me at our anniversary party, and now, because she did not want to lose access to her family's wealth, she was trying to fix the situation with me. And that could be true. I don't even know what to think about anything anymore. I guess what I want to ask is, am I the a-hole for being emotionally distant from my wife and not making an effort to get along with her family? Update 1. Hey. Thank you so much to everybody who commented on my post and supported me. It really means the world to me. Especially given what I'm going through, I think I'm very grateful for all the support that I'm receiving from everywhere. Anyway, talking about what's going on with me and Veronica right now, I decided to respond to her today. It's been 3 days since I posted, so almost 5 days since she sent me those messages, and so far, I haven't been responding. I was just really confused about what to say to her because honestly, my mind wasn't working straight. I did not know what to think, I did not know what to believe, and I was just so lost and confused that I actually started to think that maybe she had a point. It took me a lot of convincing from my friends and family, and even you guys, to make me realize that she absolutely didn't. But now that I knew it, I wasn't going to entertain any of her baloney. She had been texting me nonstop for the past 5 days, so I decided to finally respond, and I told her that whatever she had done, there was just no explanation for it. I was just as upset with her as she had been with me, probably even more, because even though I had always tried to understand her, she had never done the same for me. And yet, even though I had been upset, doing something like this never would have even occurred to me in my wildest dreams, because not only is it humiliating for the other person, but it's also just a really bizarre thing to do. Besides, I had always loved her, and I guess I had loved her more than she loved me, because I never would have done something like this to her. I also told her that it was really sad and disgusting that she was trying to gaslight me into believing that maybe part of this was my fault and that maybe I had pushed her to do something like this with my behavior. Because I like her, at least I had a reasonable explanation for how I have been behaving in the recent past. I have been emotionally distant because every time that we would talk, we would inevitably end up fighting over something or the other, and that mostly happened because she refused to understand me. But I always forgive her because I did understand her. And about her family, I was happy that they had decided to take a stand against what she was doing, but that had not been for my sake. In the past couple of messages, she had mentioned that even though my in-laws had been kind of cold towards me in the beginning, they had obviously accepted me as part of the family, and that's why they had stood up for me at the party. But in my opinion, I had nothing to do with the situation. They were just upset that Veronica had done something so stupid and ruined the family's reputation in front of so many of their relatives. So for her to try and manipulate the situation and make her family look good so I would feel guilty about not making an effort to get along with them was just silly. The truth was that they had always disliked me and they had never wanted to give me a chance. The fact that I seemed to be fine with them not liking me and my decision to not make any extra efforts to get them to approve of me, is probably what made them even more upset with me. This is probably why they had taken it upon themselves to try their best and meddle in our marital life by trying to manipulate Veronica, and she fell for it too. I told her that I found her and her entire family could be extremely manipulative and cunning, and I even put forward my mother's theory that she was probably doing this because she did not want to lose access to her family and their money, which is why it was very important for her to remain on good terms with them. I could be wrong, but given the current circumstances, I could be right too, since as far as I remember, Veronica had always known that I did not want a baby until I had reached a certain stage in my career, and she had been fine with the beginning, but as soon as her parents started pressuring her, she wanted a baby all of a sudden as well. I had always tried to overlook these things in the past because I loved her, but now, I couldn't ignore them anymore. She always had been the kind of daughter who did everything that her parents asked her to, and they would spoil her rotten in return as well. That's just how their family functions, I guess, but unfortunately, I don't work like that, and I did not want to be a part of whatever this was anymore. I ended the message by telling her that I had already filed for a divorce the day before, and soon enough, she would be getting served. I also told her that I would hope that she found the terms of the divorce to be fair, because all I'm doing is splitting whatever we own together equally, and then, we will go our separate ways without any alimony and stuff. I sent this message to her about an hour ago, and I've been really relieved since then, because now, I've managed to get a lot of things off my chest that I had been trying to talk about for a really long time now. And I just feel so much better now that it's finally done. Update 2. Hey, so last evening, I sent a message to Veronica, and you guys can read whatever I had said in my last update. Anyway, after reading that, she did not respond to me immediately, but she showed up at the house this morning. When I saw her standing outside and furiously ringing the doorbell, I told her that I wanted to go away because I was about to leave for work and I did not want any drama right in the morning. But she was very upset and she told me that the house still belonged to her as well since she had paid her share of the rent this month too. And that was true, so I eventually decided to let her in, and as soon as she was inside, she started screaming at me and told me that whatever I had said in my message, it had been really horrible and she couldn't believe that is what I thought of her. But I really did not have the time to argue, so I just told her that she had said a lot of things in her previous messages and on the day of the party as well, and neither could I believe that this was what she thought of me, so I guess this was fair enough. Since we had finally decided to be truthful to each other, I did not say anything wrong in saying what I thought of her. She started cursing at me then and told me that she had already acknowledged the fact that she had made a huge mistake and had even put in her resignation at her job so she could make our marriage work, since that's how serious she was about this, and she wanted me to take it seriously as well. I did not say anything to her, I just stood there without a word while she continued to yell at me, and eventually, when she couldn't scream anymore, I told her that I had had enough and I couldn't do this anymore. I told her that I had loved her for a really long time, and that's why I had put up with a lot of things that I don't think a lot of other people would put up with so patiently. And I'm not just talking about her family, they were definitely a part of it, but there was obviously a lot more to our marriage. I guess, by now, it has been established that we had always been really different people, and even in the beginning, while we had been dating, it had been the same way. But the problem was that I had always expected her to grow out of her childish behavior from when she was in college. Even back when we had been dating and occasionally, in the initial stages of our marriage as well, she didn't have a tendency to go out of her way to flirt with other men or do things on purpose to annoy me so that I would feel jealous and stuff. It was cute in college, but afterward, it just became weird and embarrassing to deal with. Sometimes, when she was mad at me, and we had friends over, or maybe if we were hanging out with them, she would go out of her way to get clingy with other guys, and that's not the way normal folks behave. That had still been forgivable, but I had no idea that it would lead to something like what had happened recently at the party, because I'm pretty sure that whatever happened with Nathan, it was just an exaggerated version of things that she had already tried in the past. And of course, on top of that, she had pretty much always been really spoiled, entitled, and manipulative. She would always do whatever it took to get her way, and I was always bending over backward for her because I knew that I couldn't give her the same kind of lifestyle that she had been used to while she had been staying with her parents, but the least I could do for her was at least try to be the kind of guy that she wanted me to be. Basically, for as long as we had been together, I had been the one going out of my way to be the perfect guy for her, but she never thought that it was important to change her ways in order to live with me too. It had taken me a really long time to accept that, and obviously, the recent incident had truly shaken me up, so I couldn't live in denial of this anymore, but these were the facts and I had to face them now. And now that I had finally realized these things, I couldn't just ignore them and go back to pretending like everything was fine just because I loved Veronica. I had to respect myself as well, and that's why I had to leave, which is what I told her in the end, and I then asked her to leave me alone, as politely as I could. While I had been talking, she had just been quiet throughout, and once I was done, she told me that I was making a huge mistake and I was going to regret it in the future when I finally lost her. I just told her that I highly doubted that was going to happen, and then I said that. She let out an almost never-ending string of curse words for me, and then she walked out of the door and slammed it as hard as she could. But ultimately, she did leave, and now, we are going to get that divorce. Update 3. Hi, everyone. So it has been a couple of months since I filed for a divorce, and since we don't have a waiting period in our state, Veronica and I were able to wrap things up pretty quickly. The divorce came through 2 weeks ago and we are now officially done and dusted with our marriage. I honestly wish I could say that I feel bad about any of it, but I really don't. Instead, I just feel really relieved and free, and I feel like this is something that I should have done a really long time back, but I guess I needed a huge wake-up call. The past few months had been pretty much uneventful because after that last conversation that I had with Veronica when she came over, and I told her everything that had been wrong with our relationship, she had blocked me everywhere. Within a few days of that conversation, she responded to my divorce petition, but to my surprise, she demanded alimony. Apparently, according to her, we had been living off of her parents' money so far, but now that her parents were mad at her and refusing to transfer any funds anymore, I did not want to stay with her. She had been trying to make me out to be a gold digger, but I just spoke to her in person, told her that I could get everybody involved, and then things could get really ugly for her and her family, because even she knew that none of this was true and she was only trying to get on my nerves because she did not want to let me get away with divorce on my terms. Unfortunately, pettiness and childishness like this would not fly when legal stuff was involved, and I told her that my lawyer and I would really come for her if she did not modify her petition to be more honest. And I guess, for some reason, it worked. Probably because she did not want to make her parents even more upset than she already had the stunt that she pulled off at our anniversary party. But anyway, apart from that, Nothing major really happened, and soon enough, we had wrapped up our divorce and now, we have gone our separate ways. I've heard from a couple of friends that she has been staying with her parents for the past few weeks, so I'm assuming that they have reconciled with each other. Also, she doesn't have a job anymore from what I know, so she's probably going to need her parents to help her out. My work, on the other hand, has been going really well since I had pretty much thrown myself into my job after I filed further divorce because I desperately needed something to distract myself. I'm about to receive a promotion pretty soon and I really feel like my life has started to turn around, and I'm really grateful for everything that's going well for me right now.